the kind of leadership of President Chavez and the kind of policies we were implementing in Venezuela, now it's not an accident anymore. We have had elections in all Latin America last year, and of course every country is different, but we have to admit that there is a new era in the hemisphere. And when there is new eras, you have two possibilities. One, you accept that, you try to interpret what is going on, and then you adjust your vision and your policies. Or the other one is you refuse to accept that, and then we will have to start to have problems. When people ask me, what would you advise the US? I'd say, just adjust your vision. Try to see that what is going on there is not an accident, it's not a threat, it's not the end of the world, it's the result of a social, political, and economic process. And hopefully, if there is understanding from all of us, we will go through this process and we will keep in peace, in democracy, and trying to provide what is the only and single and most important priority: fighting poverty, social exclusion, and empowering people. I am sure that if we, behind the cameras, with no cameras, we start talking and we say, do you agree that the main objective should be to fight poverty, social exclusion, and empower people? I might say that probably 90%, if no more, of us here will agree. Then how we go and do that? And if we want to answer that question and solve this dilemma, we have to try to forget about the traditional vision and try to see how we respect each other and we address those problems. From a business point of view, that makes sense also. I'm not a businessman, but my family, my grandfather was a businessman. And he still has a business, the family, in my hometown. And I remember that any time there was a problem, the first thing he did was to call his workers and the community. I remember once that they did not charge interest, and they did not want ask for loans back because there was not rain. And if you are in agriculture and there is no rain, how can you ask people to pay you back? Or you want to kill them, or you prefer to give them some time, help, and then they will be able to pay you. So this sense of solidarity is something that reflects this mentality of saying, I want to see you, I want to see what you are doing, and what we can do together. And part of the problem, and this is what I think is happening in Latin America, is there was a sort of consensus, the so-called Washington Consensus, saying that free trade and elite-based democracies were enough. It's like, for example, when people want to cure everything with aspirin. Aspirin is good, but there are certain things that could not be cured with aspirin. So again, it's like, for example, my friend Thomas Shannon, who is a very respectable public servant of this country, they went to Latin America, they are proposing things for Latin America, and he said, what do you think? I said, you have made a great job identifying the symptoms, but you want to use the same medicine that you were using for other sickness, and not for this one. It's trying to put it simple to you, this is what is going on. And there was not consensus. Probably was consensus among Washington and some of our business or elites regarding the way of going, but not in our people. I will finish giving you an example, a visual example. Imagine for a second, because as I said to you, it's not now only Venezuela, it's many other countries in Latin America changing in a different way. There is not a model, nobody has to be following models, but there is a new reality. Imagine for a second, and with all respect to our Mexican brothers, that somebody tell you, in next hour there will be on live TV with the President of Mexico, new President of Mexico. And then in an hour, we go there and we see a guy with feature of the Aztecs and with traditional costumes of Mexican indigenous people addressing us as President of Mexico. It will be huge, no? That happened in Bolivia. The President of Bolivia represents for the first time in 500 years and 200 years of independence, 70% of the population of Bolivia. And this guy is saying, I want to bring to the table our civilization, the way we look and we see nature. This is huge. Is that a threat? Yes or not? It's not a threat. It's an expression of the new times. So I really want to convey, and we might not agree, but please understand that there is a new era. And we have to adjust our vision to understand, to interpret, and to work together with this new era and take advantage of the possibilities. Because imagine if you start working with a full legitimate country, if you start working with a country that represents the aspiration of their own people, I would say from a business point of view that you are getting a very credible and sustainable partner for the future. So those are the kind of things that I think we should discuss. This is all I'm going to say in politics, which is, I accept most a philosophical way of looking at it. But I think it's important to talk about values and we see energy. There is a lot of discussion about energy security. For us, the most important issue regarding energy is access to energy and asymmetries. If we want to have a secure world, we have to address the asymmetries in the world. So, from the very beginning, we understood in Venezuela that at least in our countries, we have to go and try to get a new equilibrium. Meaning, during some years, there was a lot of investment of international companies in Venezuela, but there was a collapse in the fiscal income from the Venezuelan government. And again, companies were doing probably well. Our own company was doing probably well, but the Venezuelan government and the Venezuelan people were doing very bad. So it was, from the very beginning, we understood that the priority for us was to recover the equilibrium. And our oil policy is and has been, from the very beginning, to help recover equilibrium, nationally and internationally. I remember that I was working directly with the first energy minister with President Chavez, Mr. Ali Rodriguez.